Continuing on with our Hadith al-Ahkam, still in the chapter of Salah, we were in the sub-chapter of the At-Tum'anina fi al-Ruku'i wa Sujood, coming to calmness and stillness in Ruku' and Sujood. And he only mentions one hadith, the author only mentions one hadith in this chapter, that is the hadith we covered last week. Just want to expound on it a little bit more this week, some of the other things we get from that hadith. But just in summary, the hadith mentioned that a man walked into the masjid while the Prophet ﷺ was sitting with some companions. He prayed the 2 raka'at of welcoming the masjid, Tahiyyatul Masjid. Then he went to go say salam to the Prophet ﷺ, and Rasulullah ﷺ told him, Salli fa innaka lam tusalli. Irja', meaning return and pray because you did not pray. And this happened 3 times when he sent him back ﷺ. Then he came back. He asked the Prophet ﷺ, you are the one that Allah sent with al-haq, so tell me what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to do it any better. And then the Prophet ﷺ described for him that the arkan of salah, what we call the pillars of salah. So open your salah by saying takbir, then recite from the Quran, then you go into ruku until you come into stillness and calmness in the ruku, then rise from the ruku until you come into that stillness and calmness from standing, then in your sajda, then in between the sajda, and so on and so forth. So we describe the hadith as it goes on. But the scholars have taken a lot more from this hadith than just the information about the arkan of the salah. One of them being, why did the Prophet ﷺ not immediately correct him when he made the mistake the first time? Right? So he came and he said, Assalamu alaikum. The Prophet said, go pray again, for you have not prayed. He prayed again, and then so 3 times he prayed in an incorrect manner. Why didn't the Prophet ﷺ teach him after the first time? Why not after the second time? Why only after he begged him on the 3rd time? And one of those reasons that the scholars they extrapolate from this is the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ, one of his methodologies in teaching people. By not just sitting them down and preaching and lecturing them about this is how you do it, this is how you not do it, but rather letting people learn through experience, understanding their mistakes, being more curious, right? Wanting them to be curious about how do I make this better. So he made the guy go and pray over and over and over again. So now he comes back and says, I really want to know what I'm doing wrong. So he built that desire up inside of him as well to really truly understand, so that when he gives him the instruction, he's not going to forget. He's never going to forget that the Prophet ﷺ made me go and pray 3 times and I made a mistake all 3 times, right? So he's never going to forget that. And so that was one of the beautiful ways of the Prophet ﷺ, that he didn't rush to these kinds of things. And depending on the situation, he would let people make mistakes. He would allow them to happen in front of him. He would correct them in a beautiful manner. Another one of these lessons that they've drawn from this hadith and other hadith is that it was common for the Prophet ﷺ to sit in the masjid. So he was sitting with his other companions, and he would sit and he would teach. And as people were coming and going, he would teach them as well. He kept an eye on people. Meaning, so that as the person walked in and he was praying, the Prophet ﷺ was observing while he's with his companions. So he's actively trying to observe and see how the people, his companions, are learning and from him. So not just in a setting where he's only teaching them, but trying to see, okay, this person is not necessarily doing the right thing. I might need to go in and give him some correction. So he cared genuinely for the people, that he would watch them and keep an eye on them. Another one of these lessons we get from this again is the salah upon entering the masjid. We call it Tahiyyatul Masjid. Right, so the Prophet ﷺ made him go and pray 3 times, even though it was just Tahiyyatul Masjid, but he wanted him to pray that salah in the best possible manner as well. Another lesson that the ulama have drawn from this hadith is the sunnah of saying salam to people who are sitting. So the person who is walking says salam to the people who are sitting. And they get from this hadith that to say salam over and over again if there is a need. So he already said salam alaikum to the Prophet ﷺ, then he went and prayed, and he came back and he said, the hadith mentions فَسَلَّمَ عَلَيْهِ. He said salam alaikum again, and the Prophet ﷺ returned his salam. So even the returning of the salam happens 3 times within the span that a person is going and doing the salah. So every time you come by a people, it is something that it was known for the Prophet ﷺ's time that they would say salam to them. Another one of the details of this hadith is the person praying distanced himself from the people that were sitting and talking. So when he walked in, he didn't stand right next to the people that are sitting and talking and started praying, but he went to a spot that he can be a little bit more isolated. They can carry on their conversation, and he's not disturbing them, they're not disturbing him. They're both taking care of doing those things. And so these are some more things that we the scholars they draw out of these hadith. Beyond just the basic ahkam, they look for these lessons, right? And there's actually over like 20 or something lessons that at least one of the authors has taken out from this hadith. but you learn so many of these beautiful things that it just encourages us when we are aware of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to kind of really go deep into it. The Prophet ﷺ himself, he mentioned, "Utitu jawami' al-kalim," that I have been given a concise speech, so that I say things in a very short and direct manner, but they carry a lot of meaning. And this is similar to, obviously not the same, because the Quran is the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the Quran has this miraculousness in it, right? And the Sunnah is also a revelation from Allah Azza wa Jalla. It's inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Prophet ﷺ is given this miracle, this karamah, right? This mu'jiza, that he's able to say something short, and yet it carries a lot of meaning. And so whenever you see a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it's good sometimes to look and say, okay, what is the direct lesson I can get? But what is something that I'm not seeing, right? Ask questions about it and so on and so forth. And this is how we learn about the Sunnah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to allow us to follow it. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.